Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the Apple Watch review. I've been using it since it came out, since the very day it came out actually. I was able to get my hands on one, and I have some good and some bad things to say about it. This is the $700 version of it, and that's one of the bad things. It starts at $350 for a 38 millimeter. You can step up to a 42 millimeter, which this is that size, which is $400. But if you want the stainless steel version with the sapphire display, you have to step up to $600. This is the $700 one because I've got the Milanese loop on it. So there are a bunch of different options, and you can go as high as $17,000 solid rose gold, and the price is astronomical, but that's kind of to be expected, at least somewhat with Apple, but not quite that astronomical. But however, this is a beautiful design. Apple is really known for the designs, their build quality, and this is nothing short of beautiful and really well made. This is solid stainless steel. It has an alloy mixture of nickel and stainless steel and some other things in it. It's custom, and that allows it to be magnetic for this magnetic clasp of the Milanese loop. Now, the bands themselves are also very highly priced. This is a $150 band if you were to buy it separately, and they just simply slot in really nicely, but pretty expensive for what they are. It feels really nice, it's built well, and everything you've come to expect from Apple as far as that is concerned. The display is a beautiful display, so let me go ahead and unlock it. When it's not on your wrist, it actually locks every single time. You see the little lock up at the top. Let's go over the interface real quick. Now, the interface is fairly simple, but not the same as everything else. We have the digital crown, or the little wheel here on the side. We can scroll it back and forth, or we can push it, or we can push this button, or we can hold those, and that's really all you have for buttons. You also have a microphone here and a speaker here, and some sensors on the bottom that check your heart rate and pulse. So here you see you've got the screen. Again, it's going to lock. Once it breaks contact with your skin, it will relock every single time. It's a security measure, and it really works pretty well. Now, if I scroll the wheel on this particular watch face, you'll see it adjusts kind of what it'll look like cloudiness-wise, day to night cycle-wise, based on the time here in the upper left. If I push and hold, or push or force press, it's basically a harder press. We can scroll through different watch faces and pick whichever one we'd like. And there's some really nice ones, but there are no custom watch faces yet. I kind of like this one, this jellyfish one. It takes a second for the jellyfish to appear, but it looks really nice. But the wheel doesn't do anything on this one that I can tell anyway. So if we push this again, we get to Apple's interface. Now, I have to say I don't like this interface. It's very hard to hit things, especially if you're in a car and it's bumpy, or if you're walking. It's just not a great interface to touch these different icons. You can zoom in a little bit with the wheel, or the crown as they call it, and get a little bit closer, but not too much. So you've got all these different apps you can go and select. Now, if you want to go back, you push it. It's like the home button. Push it again, goes back to the watch. The bottom here, push it, it goes to your contacts. You scroll through, push it again, and you go back. If you hold it, you get your power options. Cancel. If you hold this one, you get Siri. Now, inside is a small processor, which is pretty powerful. It's like an iPhone 4S, I believe, which is a lot for a little wristwatch. And it's also got the speaker and microphone like I mentioned before, so it's got Siri, but Siri really falls short here. It doesn't have the best interface. If I ask it things, it's really relaying everything over to the phone. And that's one of the things with the phone that you actually have to do is configure the watch. So if we go to the watch here, we go into the Apple Watch, you have to configure everything on the watch with the phone. So if you want to install different apps, you want different things to show up, for example, you have to actually tell it to do that here. So say we want Twitter, we want it on the Apple Watch, yes or no, and do we want it in glances, yes or no? If I turn it on in glances, it will show up in glances, and I'll show you what a glance is in just a moment. So really everything we do as far as configuring the watch is done right here, and then we use the watch with glances and notifications. So let me go back over here. We'll have to unlock it again. We have notifications, which we pull down from the top, just like our phone, and we swipe up from the bottom for glances. You can see I turned Twitter on, and there's Twitter, and we can go side to side and check different things. You can see I have 53% battery remaining, and I consistently get an entire day's use and then probably another half a day. I can unplug this at about 6 a.m., plug it in at 10 p.m., and still have as high as 50% battery at times. You've got this little puck charger. Now, this is the stainless steel edition, so you get the stainless steel edition one. The aluminum one comes with a plastic charger, but you simply just attach it here, and it stays by itself. Pull it apart. It's not very strongly held on, but it's held on pretty nicely. One of the nice things is it's really easy to attach. Charges in about an hour, hour and a half, and you're good to go. The bad thing is for the amount of money you're spending on this, I would have liked to see a dock. I would have thought they'd include a dock like they did with the original iPhones and iPods when they came out. You can see it's very aggressive with the screen. It turns on and off quite quickly, and that's nice and also annoying. It saves battery, but it's also quite annoying. So one of the things we can do is control other apps. Now we can control the camera, which is kind of neat. It relays to the phone, so it's connecting, and that's the one bad thing about the watch is everything is kind of slow. So it's connecting. You can see there's a keyboard in the background. I can see what the camera is seeing on the phone. Now the phone's already seeing it, and you can see there's a delay. Then I can take a picture, and it just snapped a picture. So that part's kind of nice, but everything on the watch is really a delay. Everything is slow. So if I go back to the watch and say I want to go to, let's go to the activity app here, you'll see it's going to load. Sometimes it's quick, which that's fairly quick, but not great. And I've hardly worn it today, but I had worn it a little bit. And that's another thing I wanted to mention, and I'll mention in a moment, but I think this metal actually gave me an allergic reaction. So not really 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure. So if we go to the Wall Street Journal here, you'll see it's got to load. It's got to relay back to the phone and then come back to the watch. And it's not terribly fast. Hopefully it will be changed in an update, but it's not that great as far as speed goes. Maybe we'll try the New York Times here. And you see now it's not responding. So let's try it again. There, it finally opened when I kept tapping it. You have to be very precise, and it's a real big pain for the most part. You can see how long this takes, and this is one of my major complaints. This really doesn't provide me any value this way. It takes a long time to open all these apps, and they're just relays at this point. Now, this is an early product, and hopefully it will change, but I've really come to know Apple for their interfaces, and this is just not a great one, unfortunately. They really could have used Siri in a better way. You can't launch apps with Siri. You can't say, hey, Siri, send an email to... It doesn't seem to work really well. It picks up your voice okay, but then it gives you issues. So if I push this and hold, how are you today? You can see it's got to relay that information and then come back. So it's not horrible, but it's not as great as a phone. I actually find myself going to the phone more often than looking at the watch. And the one thing that a lot of people are interested in are notifications. And let me show you how that works. So it thinks it's on my hand because I've got contact with my skin underneath. I'm going to use this Android phone to send myself a text. So I'm just going to say hello, and it'll send. I've already sent it. It just buzzed in on my phone. It hasn't relayed to the watch yet, and that's really the problem I have. So it buzzed in on my phone, hasn't relayed to the watch. If I go to the watch, let's go back. Maybe we'll go check the Messages app, and there's the hello. So unfortunately, it's there, but it didn't let me know it was there. So I can go into hello and say... I can say hi or hello or do quick pics here, and those will send quickly. But if I want to do a custom message, I either can use an emoji here, or I can go here and say, what are you doing today? Now I have to hit send and see it pick that up. So now I have to hit send. It's going to pop up, and it actually sent. Now if I was sending to an iPhone, because this is an Android phone I'm sending to, If I was sending to an iPhone, it would actually ask me, do I want to send it as a text message or a voice message? So you've got too many taps here. And this is one area I've been pretty displeased with the watch. I've used Android Wear in the past quite a bit, and Android Wear unfortunately does it better. And that's the first time I've really thought that Apple's gotten it wrong. When a notification comes in on an Android Wear, you slide it to the right, you hit reply. That's all you have to do. On this, there's a bunch of different steps, and that's unfortunate. So that's one of the things I'm not crazy about. And then you have these kind of creepy emojis here. Let's go down and hit reply. Then we'll go to the emojis, and then we have hearts, and we have all these different faces we can scroll through with the digital crown. So it's really kind of a strange thing, and I'm not sure what's up with all these different emojis. And you've got these creepy hands you can use. It's just kind of a really odd thing, in my opinion. I'm just not really sure what to think of it, and the whole thing I really don't find is very convenient. And I'll show you. Let me try and text myself again. So I just sent it on the phone here, and we'll see if it comes in. It may vibrate on the Apple Watch, or it might buzz the iPhone. I'm not really sure. It's taking a moment to come in for whatever reason, and we'll wait here. And there it went. It finally buzzed my wrist, and it says a message, so I can reply or dismiss it. Now, the notifications on the wrist, it has a linear actuator motor. It's not just a typical vibrating motor. It actually slides back and forth instead of just buzzing around. So it slides and kind of feels like it's shaking on your wrist as opposed to just buzzing. So it's kind of a nice feeling that way. The one thing I do like it for is maps, but it tends to tell you the directions a little bit too late and a little bit too slow. So everything right now is very much a 1.0 version of the software. I think there's going to be some pretty big improvements in the future, but at this point, I definitely don't recommend buying it unless you really have to have the latest and greatest. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is the health app. The health app's pretty good, but I've heard from serious runners that it's not very good. It's not very accurate as far as that goes. But if you want to do typical workouts, and that's something you're looking for, you can see I went for an outdoor walk on May 10th. So I used that. I did use cycling. I'm not sure why it's not showing up, but I have used that. And it worked okay, and I think it's going to be great for most people, but if you're serious about it, you're probably going to want to stick with one of the more serious health bands. So right now, I think it's very much a 1.0 product. It's unfortunately something that's just an accessory to your watch. It's not a must-have at this point, and I must say I was pretty disappointed with it. It's not something that I can recommend at all. For the price, go buy yourself a brand new iPhone, iPad, and wait for the next generation or some software updates. But let me know if you've got one, if you've used it, what you think of it. I could definitely be in the minority here on that thought. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time. Be sure to check out some of our other videos as well. We have 3 new videos every single week.